Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. So, tell us a little bit about Mark. He's certainly not what you expect, I think, from early on. Maybe you get a different impression as you start to watch the movie, but things change.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a military guy through and through. I think he was really by the book, very, very regimented. And then I think, if you're in a military atmosphere and something comes in that's unknown,
right,
like aliens, I think it throws your world completely out of whack.
Right.
And then it goes from there.
Did you, when they were casting for this, did they have something in particular they wanted you to play to, or how did they bring you into it?
What do you mean to play to?
When they brought you in for the role, did they give you any notes? Was there something in particular they were talking about when they wanted you to play to as you're acting in the role, or?
No, I mean, Denis Villeneuve, he's a very, incredible director. He kind of just lets you go. He lets you do the part, and then see what happens from there. I'm a big believer in that myself. You do a take first,
right?
See how it is. See where, and then see how to move on from that. And if it needs to go in this direction or that direction, then that's what you do. So there wasn't any specific notes to begin with. I had my own ideas on the character and where he was coming from, and subtle little changes to make it kind of different, make it its own.
Right.
And then you kind of you build from that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of fun with it? Because the sets must be kind of cool. It's got an interesting vibe to it, environment.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun because it's such a good script. So you just knew every day you're doing something that's really, really cool. Jumping into a hazmat suit every day is not exactly my idea of bliss. But
there may be more fun things that you could be doing.
There could be more fun things than technically getting into a hazmat suit. But when you're doing it for such a great film, such a great story, I was excited every day to be a part of it and to see Denis, and he had a smile on his face every single day. So, it was a privilege.
That's cool. What was he like as a director in terms of did you? I know you've worked a bit as a director as well.
Yeah.
Did you feel you picked up anything from working with him?
Yeah, it's clarity. It's really, really direct. He's very direct with his communication, but in a really nice way. And I think that that's important because I think the best directors that I've worked with are the ones who are very simple. It's very, very simple. And the ones who aren't sometimes, or more inexperienced, it becomes very complicated.
Right.
Something as simple as picking up a mug becomes oh my god, this became crazy. Whereas Denis can just forget about all that and get to what is the point. That's why I think the film's so good, because the film's so lean. It gets to the point without spending a bunch of time on something that doesn't matter.
Right.
And all of his films do that very, very well.
Did you have any interesting moments with the leads? Because obviously you were in quite a few scenes with them. Did you guys end up talking at all, hanging out, anything like that?
Oh, yeah. You get to know each other pretty well when you're on set that much. But honestly, it was a very professional set. It was just very let's do the job. And it was very quiet. And it was very let's get to it. And it was great. Denis is probably the silliest one out of everybody, which is really surprising. Because his films are so dark and brooding. But Denis is a goofball. He's always...
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He's always joking around. He's just great to be around. He jokes around when he should be joking around, and he gets to the job. So,
yeah.
It's kind of an ideal scenario, and everyone was very sweet and courteous, and we all knew we were doing something great, so it was a good vibe, the whole time.
It seems interesting to see where he's going now, the fact that he's about to do Dune, he's working on, the things that he's been called in to do now seem incredible. Does it make sense to you? You must have some feeling after seeing a film like this being made, what he's like for these kind of films, I guess.
Yeah, well, when I saw Incendie, I was like, oh, I hadn't seen Polytechnique, which was a film, or Maelstrom, which was a film even before that.
Right.
Some of his other stuff I hadn't seen, and I was just like, whoa, this guy. I'd heard of him because Incendie had a lot of buzz.
Right.
And I was like, this guy's incredible. And then when I saw Enemy and Prisoners, I was like, this is something totally else, because Prisoners especially could have turned into a run-of-the-mill movie that everyone forgets about.
Right.
It could have. It was a great script, I think, but it could have. That story could, in the hands of a lesser filmmaker. But he turned it into something that was so intense and so impactful. And then he did the same thing with Sicario,
Right.
which could have been another potentially. And then he did the same thing with Arrival.
And the mood that he gets in these films is
it's
just
like that
incredible.
building tension,
Yeah.
and it's so good. So he's a big sci-fi fan. So none of this is surprising to me because the powers that be are really smart, and they're like, "Wow, this guy's incredible. Let's get him for this. Let's get him for that." And if you meet him, he's the nicest guy in the world.
Right.
He's very confident. He's a home run. God, everybody must be clamoring to work for him.
And it's interesting to see. I mean, do you want to get a role in Dune or
oh my God!
Have you read Dune? Or
no, I haven't read Dune. I would, I'd do anything to work for Denis. I'd be his butler. I'd do anything to work with him. I mean, he's incredible. I do a dramatic reading of the phone book for him. Anything he wants, I will do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What else do you have coming up? I know you've obviously had a lot of TV stuff in the past. Is more TV coming down the road, or is it more film or mix?
Kind of both. I have four films coming out later this year.
Wow.
And
Anon sounds amazing.
Yeah, Anon is really cool. It reminds me of Arrival in a sense. Very, very cool storyline. Great filmmaker, Andrew Niccol.
And when Clive Owen steps up to a role, I get a good feeling for some of these films.
He's phenomenal in Anon. I can't say much more about it, but he is phenomenal. And Anon is going to be really... Anon's cool because after I finished it, I remember I said to my wife, I was like, I still collect movies. I was like, I'd buy Anon. It's not even done yet. Just when I finished my role, I was like, I'd buy that movie. And then I do a show called Halt and Catch Fire at AMC, which is coming back for a 4th season. And I'm currently shooting a show called The Last Tycoon in Los Angeles for Amazon Prime.
Oh, really?
So we did a pilot last year, got picked up, and we're shooting now and for the next 2 months. We've been shooting for the past month and a half.
Wow.
So that's a show set in Hollywood in the 1930s.
Cool.
So it's great. It's really, really interesting, and I'm shooting that right now.
Is that the first period thing that you've done? Have you done
it? It is. I mean, if you count Halt and Catch Fire, it's in the 80s.
Well, that's true, but
whatever.
Depends when you grew up.
Yeah. I was born in the 80s, so to me that's not period. Anything before that's period. So, The Last Tycoon is very period. It's 1936.
That's cool.
And it's great. It's so cool, like that Hollywood kind of era. And that'll be coming out later this year.
I think when people think of Hollywood, that's the first thing they think of.
Yeah.
Or that whole idea of what film was then.
Yeah, and that whole vibe and the studio system and and the little bunkers they wrote in and it's so cool. It's such a cool world.
You kind of feel like you wish that could still exist in some way, but things have.
Well, that's why being on the show, I get to have it a little. It exists a little, when you walk through the sets and you're like, God, I'm in 30s Hollywood. You actually do feel like it. Right. And then you walk around the corner and everyone's on the phone. And you're like, I guess I'm not in 30s Hollywood.
That's awesome. And what about directing? Are you doing anything else?
Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff in development.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of my own stuff, a lot of my own scripts. I write quite a lot. I think I've written 5 or 6 scripts in the past 2 years.
Wow.
So I write a lot and working with some really exciting producers. I'm not exactly sure when we'll start filming, you know what I mean? That's always an uphill battle.
Right.
But I'm excited about what's to come, and I think a lot of the work I've done as an actor has really informed me as a writer and as a director, because the stuff I've been attracted to as an actor is the same thing I'm attracted to as a writer.
Right.
So I share that kind of similarity, so I'm always picking up bits from Andrew Niccol and Denis Villeneuve and Billy Ray from Last Tycoon. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to start doing some of that stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.